finished college gymnastics, the first thing that I wanted is I didn't want a real job, as you want to say. I have a business degree, but I wanted to take it easy after school for a little bit. Because I was so involved in the sport for so long, I thought it would probably be good to not get directly into the hardworking business world. And so I had asked my mom. My stepfather had died 2 or 3 years before my graduation. And so she moved back down to where she was originally from in Florida. And so I called her up and I said, hey, is there any gyms in the area? I mean, that would be something that would be easy, a part-time job, go in and help out. It was something I enjoyed to do. And so there was actually, in fact, a job opening. And so I applied for the job. I took the job. I moved down there. And then 3 months later, my boss decided that her 3 kids were more important, understandably. She couldn't take them all to soccer class here and there. She couldn't be in 3 places at once. So she offered the head coach and the general manager position to me. And this was a gym that had been failing for a few years. And so there was no place to go but up. And so I took it wholeheartedly and said, yep, okay. And that was back in 2002. And so I've been coaching. I've been a career coach ever since, but I've been involved in the sport since 92, 93.
Support. Of course, we have the education and the technical knowledge, or we should have the education and the technical knowledge to better them as athletes. But for me, support. And I think this is where I have not a different philosophy, but I have a different priority in my philosophies, or what is most important to me, than a lot of other coaches up until this point that I have met. I've been very fortunate to be around some very high level and highly respected coaches. I've learned a lot from them, and we share a lot of the same ideas. But the coaches that I was around earlier, the majority of them didn't have the view that I had, that we were another tool for the gymnast or for the athletes to get better, that we were there to support them to reach their goals, rather than they were there as a tool to help us reach ours. My coaching philosophy has kind of, like I said, adapted over the years, because it was not in my head to be a full-time coach at first. And then, so I would say my most recent development in my philosophy has been that the kids need to be happy in training, happy to be in training. I strongly believe in accountability and intrinsic motivation, that the kids that we as coaches need to teach them how to be intrinsically motivated, and teach them how to goal set. In our sport, it's very difficult. Every sport is difficult, but in our sport, oftentimes our goals are many years down the road. And for young athletes not to have that cookie right now can be very difficult to deal with. And so for me, trying to develop that goal setting and that intrinsic motivation is very important. And of course, for me, the athlete as a person is more important than any success that we could possibly have. That if the kids are happy to come to training, and they're happy to do the work that is involved in training, and that they feel that they're looked after and that they're cared for, I feel only in that 3 pieces of the puzzle can they really truly meet their potential. I think there are kids that naturally have that. I think there are kids that are naturally talented. I think there are kids that are naturally smart without the support of external sources. And I think up until this point, my feeling in the areas that I've been around, in both good coaching situations and not good coaching situations, it's very easy as a coach to be distracted by the kids that already have these talents and already have these abilities. And I strongly feel that both athletes can have a bright future, but they are very different in how we need to build them up and how we need to develop them, because that athlete who already doesn't take the marshmallow is going to have maybe less stress or less pressure when they don't learn something or they don't reach success at an early age. because they understand that sometimes waiting is better. Where the kid that eats the marshmallow now, maybe they need a little marshmallow, maybe they need a shorter term, and that's our job as a coach, is to help nurture that and to help, in my sport, to help teach the kid who ate the marshmallow to wait a little bit longer for the next one, and then a little bit longer, so that they have the same potential as some of these kids who it's already built into their head. I've coached in 4 different countries, if you count my home country, and I've seen many coaches who only want to work with the kids who have natural ability in all of these areas. And of course, that is the easiest way. But there's so many sports now, and there's so many other things out there that are distracting the kids, from cell phones to parental pressure, money. We need the biggest base of happy athletes and healthy athletes that we can, so that we as coaches can positively impact the lives of these kids, not only as athletes, but we're giving them tools for them to be successful human beings. And for me, that's, I guess you can say, my biggest philosophy, is that what I'm teaching, I'm using the sport of gymnastics to teach life lessons. Well, of course, you want to make what we're strong at better. But then the polarization between what we're good at and what we're not good at, I find we then tend to accept the fact that we're not good at something and only focus on the things that we're good at something. And I tend to believe that if we can take our weakest point and make it a little stronger, not only are we making ourselves a better all-around person or all-around athlete, but we're also learning how to deal with difficult processes in life. We're also learning how to face difficulty head on as a challenge, rather than, oh, I'm just not good at that, I'm not going to do that. I was never a good athlete. I was never really talented. I was told I was too small for football. I was told I was too big for gymnastics, but I liked being the underdog. And so for me, that was kind of my driving factor. If you told me I couldn't do something, I was 100% bent on showing you wrong. And I think that's why I have this desire to help teach the kids how to accept what we're not good at and use that as motivation to make that area better. And in doing that, we should be able to help the athletes sharpen what is already strong, because that should be easy. Making the things that we're not good at better is the hard part. And if we can teach them to embrace that part of their development, that's a life lesson that is priceless to me outside of sport. Yeah, that's a tough one, because in our sport, everybody, I mean, in every sport, again, I guess I should say, but I speak specifically for my experience. Every athlete has a different family life. Every athlete has a different mindset, or a different set of tools that God gave them, that their families gave them. And so for each, it's a little bit different. And again, I try to individualize not only my programming for the kids to better tailor to their strengths and weaknesses, but also to their mental capacity. There are different types of learners. There are visual learners, there are kinetic learners, and there are auditory learners. So if I'm only one kind of coach, there's a 30% chance I'm being successful and a 60% chance I'm not. And so rather than asking the athlete to adjust to me, I ask that we try to find a compromise and that we adjust together. And in doing that, I've learned to use those 3 different approaches to find successes with the athletes, to earn their respect and to earn their trust, so that I can teach them, for lack of a better term, the harder lesson of intrinsic motivation. For me, as an athlete, I had to accept that I failed in order to improve. But in society right now, and maybe this is a